What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the SPY, the Nasdaq, the QQs, and the indices, break down what's actually happening right now, and also why next week is going to be huge with major earnings coming out. I'm going to try to make this video kind of brief because once again it is a Friday and I just want to make this as concise as possible. But before I say anything about this, I have to mention a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $3,000. And the best part is, any could be a free Tesla share. The offer ends in just 3 days. Check it out before they run out. This is one of your last chances when this is available. With that out of the way, anyways, let's get on with the video. So anyways, SPY is actually up just a little bit. We did actually close green as I predicted. We did not squeeze as hard as I really thought we would. I thought we could actually break a little above this resistance and try to get a little higher into like 413. But we actually closed once again in the green, so that was as expected. So very close to my expectation, almost exactly correct, just a little bit lower, but still green is green. I was almost exactly correct about Tesla. I told you guys Tesla would bounce and we got the bounce. I told you guys the dollar would remain flat and that's what happened. NEO would bounce and that happened. I thought Microsoft would bounce a little bit. It actually closed flat, barely red. For QQQ, I told you guys it would bounce. We got the bounce. Amazon as well, Nvda as well. Apple, in my opinion, I told you it would pull back to around 165, then try to bounce from there. We actually closed just barely around there, so this actually underperformed just a little bit. And then I told you Google would probably close above 105, so most of my predictions did come true, the large majority of them. And the question is, what's going to happen for next week? So for next week, guys, I can't predict it as accurately or promise that I'm going to give you guys perfect or the most accurate predictions because we're going to be reacting to earnings and that can be very difficult. What I will do though is just talk about the charts and just talk about my anticipations and what's very likely. And the reason for that is because once again, earnings come out and we're going to get big reactions typically the day after they come out, if they do come out after the market closes. And going into next week, Monday has Coca-Cola. We have Credit Suisse. We also have Whirlpool and also the First Republic Bank. That's going to be a very important one. Tuesday has Verizon, Microsoft, Alphabet, and etc. Big ones on Tuesday. The market's going to react on Wednesday to this right here, Microsoft and Alphabet. Make sure you're ready for that. Wednesday has Meta, Roku, Hilton, and a bunch of other ones. Pretty big too. The market's going to react on Thursday to Meta and Roku. Make sure you're ready for that too. Plus Boeing is pretty big. Then Thursday, we're going to have Amazon, Caterpillar, right? Intel, Snap Inc., not to mention MasterCard, lots of big ones, Pinterest, lots and lots of big ones, especially Amazon. The market's big reaction is going to come on Friday to what Amazon does. So huge earnings almost every single day. The reactions will be coming every day. Make sure you guys are ready and prepared for that. And then we also have, let me see, we have some big data coming out, PMI data, crude oil data, and mortgage data for Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, some more mortgage data with some Fed speakers, I think. Not necessarily. And then Thursday, we have some initial jobless claims. That's going to be important. And then Friday, we have PCE coming out. That's going to be very important too. So for the data coming out, I think that Monday is going to be a little bit significant, not too huge. For going into like Tuesday, not too big. Wednesday is going to be a little bit more significant. The data is not too crazy Monday through Wednesday. The crazier days are going to be Thursday and Friday as far as data goes for initial jobless claims. Also, some GDP data is coming out on Thursday. And finally, for Friday, we have PCE. That's going to be massive. So what can I say about the charts? When we zoom out of SPY, we actually have a bearish divergence developing still, technically, way back here, right? The price was going up. We also had this. And if this is not actually like a bull flag, then we could start collapsing. Or, sorry guys, I'm sorry. But anyways, two possibilities, okay? We're either going to just see the bearish divergence play out and we just crash from here. We just see the market just pull back again and again off not so good earnings. Or what could happen is the market just chops around for some time, and we actually get one more push up to this 418 to 420 area, and then we collapse, right? Then we see a big rug pull. So those are the two possibilities I'm looking at. We either chop around a bit and then collapse based off earnings. The technicals are suggesting that's very possible. Or we get one more push up, because this could technically be a bull flag, a very sloppy looking one, but it is possible. And if we do break above this, it could come flying all the way up to almost 420, 418 to 420 as the peak, and then we collapse after that. But either way, there's a collapse coming. The market's going to tank soon, guys. I just don't know if we're ready to tank now or if we're going to get one more push up and then we tank. Most likely it's going to be one of those two. Now for the QQQ, it is not actually looking way too strong. I do think Tesla can help it push up a little bit. I don't know if it's going to try to break this high. It could be forming like a head and shoulders. Uh, we'll have to wait and see on big tech, because if tech rallies hard, QQQ could always make a comeback. It's still a possibility. But I'm seeing two possibilities. Number one, we just chop around and we start selling off based off tech earnings. And we also have this gap that's unfilled, of course. Another one right here. First possibility is we just shop around for some time and then we just sell off, because we are shopping a lot and we're actually showing some weakness. Even our momentum indicators are telling us that. Or we get one more pump to 324.5 and then we collapse, right? One of those two. I really don't know which one it's going to be, but I just want to note that it depends on earnings and other factors like that. I'm not really a fortune teller. I don't know what earnings are going to bring us exactly. So make sure you're ready for that. The VIX is telling us two possibilities. The VIX is still kind of sideways, not really doing too much. There's no true confirmation of a breakout, because we temporarily went above the 50 EMA, then came right back below it. Similar to like this moment where we broke above it, then we came below, we broke above it, then we came below. Two possibilities the VIX is telling us. Number one, if it breaks out, that's going to be because the market's about to tank. Number two, the VIX continues to drop. The market rallies a little bit, right? SPY can try to get to about 418 to 420. And then this thing gets a big bounce by May, a huge breakout. And that's when the market pulls back all the way down to the low 400s, if not the 390s for SPY, right? Two possibilities. And I basically see this correlation between the large majority of tech out there. Amazon, I mean, this thing could try to hold up temporarily, but it's most likely going to react very big to earnings. It could pump beforehand. Uh, we don't really have a divergence. I'm not really seeing it. I'm gonna have to double check. I'm not seeing much of a divergence just yet on the 1 hour time frame. There was actually a bullish divergence right here. I called this out for Amazon, and that's why we got the breakout. And if anything, Amazon is still just going to react to earnings. If earnings are great, it could continue to pump. If they're not doing too well, it's going to start coming down to fill these gaps. I think the odds do favor that, but I'm always open to anything, because the odds were favoring bad earnings for this cycle, and they've been pretty mixed, but actually better than a lot of expectations, right? Many of us were predicting the banks would just get destroyed on earnings. So far, most banks are actually doing okay, right? And the real earnings recession is probably going to come later on. For Nvda, this is actually, let me double check this. This could be forming something very interesting right now. I'm not really seeing a true divergence just yet. There actually is a possible bullish divergence that developed right here, which means Nvidia might try to pump a little bit more next week. We could see this thing actually try to pump a little bit before it makes another move. We had the possible head and shoulders that people were talking about, and it ended up just being a fake trap. It came down and got a nice bounce off this 266 as I predicted. And there's a chance that this thing might slowly uptrend and try to get back to about 275 first. And the collapse of Nvidia, I believe it's going to happen just a little bit later. Depends on when the market and tech start to sell off. When that happens, this thing is going to start crumbling down. I would say closer to May, if not into May, is when that's likely going to happen. But until then, we just have some time. For Amazon, not Amazon, sorry, Aapl, this also formed not really a divergence, but it is actually looking weaker than before. Now, It's trying to base around these levels, might try to bounce and retest 166. But if it rejects, we might start to see this thing downtrend a little bit more. We are approaching earnings. I'm not too confident about Apple's earnings. Could be forming a head and shoulders, so it might actually come down a little lower from a right shoulder and then start to actually downtrend. That seems a little bit more likely since it actually hit major resistance, which it has rejected off of many times. But then again, I'm always open to any possibilities because I'll have to watch it in real time to give you guys a better analysis of it. I'm going to also wait for the news cycle over the weekend. But for now, it looks to me like Apple could come down a little bit, then try to bounce off this like 163 area because it has some relative weakness. And if it gets that bounce, then we could actually see this thing perform differently. For now, I mean, I do believe we formed a divergence right here because I oftentimes love to look at divergences because they do tend to mark reversals quite well. I'm not really seeing it. So it's just a matter of patience. I'm anticipating it to come down, try to bounce, get back to 166, and then it's going to likely chop around and react to tech earnings. And besides that, I'm just going to end with the 10-year Treasury yield. Right now, this is actually looking kind of bullish. We did actually form a divergence right here. We're getting a breakout now. If it keeps going, this could lead to some downside next week. So the odds are actually favoring a little bit more downside to come, maybe some choppy price action. We'll have to wait and see how it reacts to filling the gap. Could it break above 36? If it does, that's going to become a lot more bearish for the markets. But still waiting for some confirmation first. We did form a bearish divergence here. It came down. And so far, it's actually trying to push right back up. If it ends up tanking, this would mark that the market has more upside to come. We just have to wait and see. It looks like it's going to try to fill this gap, though. So the market might pull back on Monday. But then again, we'll see what news comes out over the weekend. And until then, I want to just thank you all for listening. So I'm going to keep this video very short. The market has potential for two possibilities. The odds are favoring downside eventually coming, but if we do break above this trend line, there could be one more push up before the real downside comes. Before the real downside, right? We either tank right now or we push up a little more and then we tank. Most likely it's going to be one of those two. And we will find out based off tech earnings and other factors like that. But until then, I want to just thank you all for listening. I also have some merch for you guys if you are interested in buying a custom shirt or something like that. If not, completely fine with me. I thank you all for listening. The market to the moon as the long term is still incredibly bright, and peace out.